Hello everyone and welcome to Luxembourg, to Findel International Airport, and for this quick flight over to Innsbruck. This is not a real route, but flying into Innsbruck is a very cool experience coming into the valley, and Luxair is one of the closest places with Dash 8. So let's just jump in and do some brief flight briefings and setup. So let's have a look here in Navigraph. This is the routing today. We're gonna take off runway 24 in Luxembourg on the, let's see here, GTQ to Quebec departure. That takes us southeast, and we'll see if we can do a little bit of shortcutting over here. And we joined a CB1 Bravo arrival into RNAV Zulu 08 approach down through the valley. Very nice weather, as you can see, and it's nice in Innsbruck as well. Expected flight time just under 1 hour. So let's do a little bit of crew briefing first. Today's flight is scheduled takeoff 16:40 out of Luxembourg into Innsbruck at 17:32. So approximately 55 minutes flight time. Cruising at 250. That's good since we have to come over the mountains. And takeoff fuel is 2005. Block almost 27, and that's what we're going to refuel to. Most likely we're not going to use 181 kilos for the taxi. More reasonable is about 50 to 100 kilos, but might be a little bit longer taxi routing here. Let's see. No, it's pretty short, so about 50 kilos is more reasonable. But yep, we'll just let it stay like that. And this is the route. We'll have a closer look at that when we input it in the FMS. We're gonna have 65 passengers on board, giving us a total of POB 69. And as usual, SimBrief is very optimistic on the cargo, but we're just gonna play along today to have about 27.5 tons takeoff weight. And coming down, cruise speed of 318 knots true. That's okay. Winds. Yeah, let's see. Top of climb. It's not giving us all the way up, it seems. But the winds are westerly, so we're gonna have tailwinds all the way to Innsbruck. That's nice. And coming down, let's go to the weather. Routing and weather, yeah, that's a very nice tailwind all the way. And no weather systems to be worried about today. So let's do the setup, or first of all, let's do a quick scan setup flow. Batteries are on, we're running on external power, generators and main bus tie is on. All of the ice protection and windshield is off. External lights, only the position lights. Flight data recorder, and this is not the first flight, so no fire tests. APU is off, ignition's to normal. Auto man dump switch is in auto and forward outflow valve is closed. Emergency lights are armed, ready for boarding. Passenger seat signs are on and no smoking. Packs in auto, bleeds off and min. Temperatures straight up and recirc fan is running. External AC power is off and gens are on. Having a look on the captain side, nose wheel steering is off. Not very big deal here since we're not gonna push. Or are we? Let's see. Oh, we can go straight through, so let's just get rid of better pushback. First officer side, let's go down. We need 1,300 psi for a 2 crew flight and 1,800 for 3 crew if we have active crew like a supervision or something on the jump seat. And in the center, flaps are up, fuel cut off, throttle's idle, park brake is on. And we'll have a look at the radio panels.
And bypass bin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. I'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Thank you. On the left side here we have FMS1, VOR2, shortest range. VR1, FMS2, shortest range on the right side. I've entered the numbers and as you can see it gives us a lot of cargo. Full in the rear and almost full at the front. Not very realistic. But let's just run with it. It's just weight anyway. So we'll do load summary. Flight time just under an hour. Text time is gonna be even less than 10. And well, this, yeah, not sure if you can actually change this, but it's gonna be 250. Let's confirm and do a fast load. Coming down to the FMS, Echo Lima Lima X-ray to Lima, Oscar Whiskey India, Innsbruck. And routing. Golf Tango Quebec to Lupin via the Romeo 7 airway. Upper mic 164 to Utaba. Lima 607 to Sebix. And then the Sebix 1 Bravo. Let's put in runway 24, Golf Tango Quebec to Quebec. Enter flight plan. Looks good. Arrival 08. Next page, Sebi 1 Bravo. And let's do RNAV Zulu to 08 via Elmem. Good. And we do not have any discontinuities. 250 is our final today. Let's put that after top of climb, 250, as a reminder to ourselves. Fuel, let's see here, 2700. And let's go menu and reduce the weight of the passengers, since we're doing it another way. So we're 69 POB, and cargo was 6760. Total 27. So it's a little bit on the lower side. I think that's because the basic weight here is lower than what they are calculating. I'm calculating based on a real aircraft. Let's see. That's closer to 18,300. Or is it? No, 18,200. Very good. I'm not gonna bother with the reserves. It doesn't matter what you put in here other than as a reminder. And let's not forget the flight number. You can find that by going to flight plan and pressing menu twice. So we are Luxair 18 Tango today. And then if we bring back Navigraph, and let's have a look at the departure. So the departure states we are on plate 10-3 Charlie, Luxembourg. Contact Luxembourg radar immediately after takeoff, so there's no handover. If enable RNAV, yeah, we are. And yeah, this isn't a big deal. Initial turns calculated upon 250 bank angle 25. We're not flying that fast. So, first point, Lima X-ray 892, flying over. Left turn to 895, above 47. 896 above 12. Or flight level 120 rather, 899 over 150 to the Groston Quinn VOR. After that, we join the route and we'll have a look at the Sebik's arrival when we get closer. So let's do the pre-flight checklist. We have flight deck, checked left, checked right. That includes checking all the circuit breakers. Battery switches, 4 on 27.7, altimeters 1019er, work brake on, fuel 2700, and seat signs are on. Then we have set up for departure, go around, heading altitude select. HSI is to the right, and we would go over what we have here. Go around, heading altitude select, 4,000 feet, any acceleration altitude, not calculated today. Source FMS 2 pointers, VR1 FMS 2, and if you have a visual departure like today and you don't want to put anything in there, you can just say pointers off. State what flap and takeoff power you will take off in, and any nav aids and frequencies that are required. And the pilot monitoring would also state their source and anything they have set up here as well. Cabin crew would come in and give us the final passenger count. Any specials, like are there infants, children traveling without parents, any wheelchair or other special assistance required, and of course ask us if we want a cup of coffee, of course. So let's get ready to start, and ground from cockpit is departure check complete. Departure check complete, ready to start. We would check that the roof hatch is closed, alternate landing gear extension door is closed, put beacon to red, doors fuel lights out, throttles idle and fuel cutoff switches are off. Before start checklist, doors fuel lights out, anti-collision red, and engines cleared right side and cleared left side. Okay, ready to start number 2, starting 2. And fuel switch on, NH is coming up, fuel flow is on, NL ITT is rising, oil pressure rising, hydraulic pressure is up, and the prop starts to spin. Starter cutout, start select is illuminated for 15 seconds. And ready to start number 1. NH is up, fuel on, fuel flow, oil pressure, ITT. It's very important to pay close attention to the oil pressure. That's one of the few things that the FADEC does not automatically cut the startup sequence for. Good. Start select switch went back to the middle, or the select switch. Start select goes out, start complete. And ground from cockpit, you may disconnect ground power and headset. Have a nice day. It's just giving us a bit of warning about de-ice pressure. Should go away now soon. Props to max, and let's reduce our takeoff power. 5 clicks give maximum reduction. This would show 81 in the real aircraft. And then back to captain's flow. We have external power off, bus tie goes off, pitot statics go on. Window heat goes on if it's below 20 degrees Celsius that's out. Right now we have 27, so we will put it on in the air. Everything else stays the same, and we can give them a little bit of air condition since it's hot outside. Test the spoilers, check the rudder travel, yaw damper goes on, weather radar to standby, and nose wheel steering goes on. First officer sets the takeoff flaps, flaps 5 today. Modify the select tank aux pumps, both hydraulics and isolation valve. Test the elevator with isolation valve open, or isolated, so closed, and then do a little wiggle of the elevator to remove the pressure in the real aircraft. That would also remove the caution. Check that you have a guard and hold the TCAS button to turn on your transponder. Good. So we have after start checklist. Push tie is off. Spoilers taxi. Standby hood P2 on, normal indications. Auto feather select, tank aux pumps on. Trims 3 set, 1, 2, 3. Flaps 5 set and checked. All clear, received, checklist complete. Luxair 18 Tango request taxi. Luxair 18 Tango taxi Alpha to holding Alpha 2 runway 24. Alpha 2 to runway holding 24. Luxair 18 Tango. Taxi light on. Arc brake off. Let's taxi from the captain's side since there's only a tiller down here. So taxi speeds in turns are not as critical as on the bigger aircrafts like the wide bodies, where they have a strict 10 knot rule, but it should be kept close to 10 knots if you can. But it's a small aircraft comparatively, so the forces are much less, and we have a maximum taxi speed of 30 knots. As usual, we use the ground range, the beta of the propellers, mostly when taxiing. You don't need to use the brakes a lot at all. If you plan ahead, you can mostly get by on beta. So, coming up on Alpha 2. Tower would say Luxair 18 Tango via Alpha 2, line up and wait, runway 24. Line up and wait 24 via Alpha 2, Luxair 18 Tango. Lights go on. Strobe go on. Bleeds off. Cabin ready call. And gust lock goes off, and do a full control check. After that, spoilers to flight. Before takeoff, caution warning lights clear, cabin clear is received, flight controls checked, spoilers flight, checklist complete. Okay, we're ready to go. Release the brakes. I'm just gonna put the control displays to always on. Advance the powers until auto feather is armed, and then the pilot monitoring would do power detent. $80 knots, and we forgot the speeds, about 130. V1, rotate. Positive rate, gear up. gear checked. Select LNAV. LNAV selected. 400 feet, flaps 0. Flaps 0 checked. Set climb power 900. Auto feather goes off and we can reduce to 900. Climb power set. We can engage the autopilot above 1000 feet. After takeoff flow would be to check gear up, flap 0 and turn the pumps off. Luxair 18 Tango, climb flight level 250. 250, Luxair 18 Tango. 250 set, altitude select. We have no obstacles and we are visual, so we can set standard, passing 3-6, set and cross-checked, and climb checklist. Gear is up, flaps 0. Oh, we forgot the pressurization with the flaps. Pressurization is set. Altimeters standard, checklist complete. So at least now for single pilot, with having to fly and do the flow, it's easy to forget the bleeds in the roof. That's why we have the checklist, of course. An initial climb speed would be 185, so let's give it that. In good weather we can go straight to 5 degrees pitch. Let's just climb a little bit. As we leave the airport and Luxembourg behind. Very nice weather today, so we'll release the cabin. Let's see, does pitch work today? Yes, it does. Very good. About 5 degrees or 210 airspeed for the initial part of the climb. You can turn on terrain and increase the range a little bit. So for ground textures, I'm using the X-Plane Map Enhancement software to automatically stream the latest Bing maps. No automatic sync of the heading. It's an old aircraft. Let's see. Windshield heat can come on. Temperature has dropped quite a lot. And yeah, showing 10,000. Last light can go off. And everything else looks good. We have differential pressure and altitude and rate is going up. Very nice. So one thing is you can hear there's quite a lot of wind noise in the cockpit of the Dash 8, and that's true in real life as well. But one of the biggest factors that gives us this wind noise is the windshield wipers. Because they are horizontal under each of the windows, they create quite a lot of noise. And depending on your operator, well, this is the certified position, but you can try to get them to stand in the upright position like this, and it will reduce the noise. Let's see, does it make any difference? Yeah, it seems like they've modeled it, and it's much easier to get them to stay synchronized upright here in the simulator. The motors for the windshield wipers are not completely synced, so you will very often end up with one in the middle of the windshield and one up, and have to try a couple of times. It's easier to do this when you're in the air and you have some air pressure coming over the nose and helping you to push the wipers in the upright position. Doing it on the ground is quite hard, actually, at least to get them totally upright. So what a lovely day to fly. And if you're wondering about my colors in the sim, I've made or modified a reshade shader package to reduce some of the glare. I can show you by turning it off. So it's much brighter without. So I'm running it like this for now. I think it looks nicer, it gives more defined shadows, and it looks less hazy. And I'm also running a Lua script. Let's see, haze adjust, that lets you adjust the background haze. So if I save and load default, you can see there's a lot more haze going on. So I prefer less haze, but this will mostly it will depend on where in the world you're flying and weather conditions. In my opinion, it's too hazy, at least for what I'm used to. But if you're flying in very hot, humid climates or places where they might burn forests or fields and stuff like that, I would imagine flying in India, for example, you would have a lot more haze than, let's say, Northern Europe. But it's very nice to have the ability to adjust your settings a little bit. I also got a question on one video about the input for my elevator and roll axis, and those have been adjusted a little bit. Let's see. Not that. So the roll, I've reduced the top a little bit and flattened the first part of the curve, and the same for the pitch axis. In my opinion, this makes it more natural feeling, makes it feel heavier if you have a non-force feedback stick, at least. It might be different if you have force feedback and can feel the control surface weight more. But for a spring-loaded stick like I have, the VKB Gunfighter, it was way too twitchy around the center point if I used the regular linear axis. The Dash 8 is mostly controlled by cables, elevator and ailerons. You have spoilers that also help with the roll on top of the wings. Those are hydraulic, and the rudder is hydraulic as well. It's a very nice, responsive aircraft, very precise. So it handles winds and gusts very, very nice. And when you combine that with having very large six-bladed props that, when are put into full fine, give you a very nice granular control over how much air or braking you have. The spoilers are just used for increased roll responsiveness, so they are not used for slowing down like on an Airbus or a 737, for example. But just adjusting the prop pitch through the power levers is very effective. So when you're coming in to land, for example, you have to have some power on, or else the props will brake for you and your airspeed will just plummet. And if you can imagine that the air is getting pushed over and under the wing, you can see that if you disturb the airflow over this large of an amount of wing surface, you can add or decrease the lift of the wing quite drastically just by adjusting the pitch of the propellers. So combining your ability to adjust how much air moves over the wing and thereby the lift, and you have the braking action of almost having two big barn doors that you can turn on by adjusting the pitch of the props. You have quite a lot of control, and even though it's a turboprop and the turbine itself needs time to spool up and down, you have that prop control that gives you an extra layer of adjustability when it comes to speed and lift. And these turbines are quite small compared to the bigger jets, even the smaller jets like the Embraer. The cores here are smaller and more responsive, so you typically don't have a lot of lag when controlling. Of course there is some, but it's quite easy to get used to and to predict. So 4,000 feet to go until our cruising level. And if we pull up the map, we can see we're just done with the SID and we're cruising along. If we look at the performance page, you can see how much fuel we would have on board at the current fuel burn when we get to Innsbruck. In climb, this number is not accurate, and when we fly around with the minimum fuel we need for a sector, this can blink minus in red for 200-300 kilos. But as soon as you get up to cruise, reduce your power settings and get the speed up, it will increase. And I think, at least what I've seen recently, paid attention to, it usually says over 1,000 kilos, 1,100, 1,200 for 1 to 2 hour long sectors with minimum fuel. We can do the UTC adjustment to local. So here it says 1952 for landing time. That's also not correct, given that we're in a climb. So I can see the mountains in the distance. And we're, yeah. So a little bit to our left is Innsbruck, over here somewhere. So we're approaching top of climb, so we'll just pay attention to that before we set up for the cruise and speed up the time a little bit. This is another thing, that's a little bit strange in the sim. The climb rate, even with this weight, it feels very slow now for the final parts. I would expect this to be at least a few hundred feet higher when it shouldn't be below 500. We usually just pitch around 5 and let it do that up to 250, unless there is a very good reason to finally adjust the speed. We have a table to show us if we would like to do IS mode and how we can adjust it for the different altitudes, but that almost correlates with just keeping this fixed pitch and letting it climb by itself. There is also a version of the FMS that can give you a flight level change function for the climb. But that would just adjust the IS according to the same table. And again, it's so close to what you would get with just using the pitch. So, yeah. And I'm sure that the torque is correct according to some table. It just seems low for it to be below 60. But maybe it's just very hot today and they can't get more. Yeah, plus 13. So it's a hot day here, even above flight level 200, but yeah. So it's struggling to get to 250. Let's see if we can help it. The problem now is that airspeed will get so low, but we can give it a bump at least, and then let it build airspeed. This is too low of an airspeed to climb at. I'm just doing it to get up. So it might be more reasonable today just to level up at 230. pre-level 250. And double check that alt select is on so you don't bust your top of climb. Yeah, so it's reduced again. I'll just let it build some speed. It's actually descending, that's not good. Well, this isn't normal in my opinion. It might because it's very hot, but I've never experienced it being this underpowered. The Dash 8 is famous for being able to exceed its maximum speed. We'll do 240 and let's do vertical speed just slightly down, let it capture it. So 240, altitude select, altitude captured. Now it's just gonna build speed and we can do cruise setting in on the props. Max cruise 850 and check that MCR, max cruise, is set. Now let it build airspeed and adjust the torque via the power levers as needed. And with that, let's just cruise ahead and we can say that we got a little bit of a shortcut direct to Cebix. So that would mean DTO direct to Cebix number 14, enter. And let's do the same here since they don't sync. Good. Let's see on the range. Cebix 134 miles away. And as soon as the airspeed is increasing a bit, I'll enter a VNAV profile. So with that, I'll just speed up the time a little bit and I'll see you closer to top of descent when we can start preparing the arrival and approach and brief those along with speeds and all the other stuff we need to consider going in here. So here we are closing in our on our top of descent, marked on our map display here. 2 minutes to go, 12 miles. So let's bring up a navigraph, and here we have top of descent alert. Let's say we are cleared down to 130. Kind of hard to see here in the light. Let's see what you see on the captain side. 130 set, altitude select, and VNAV path is coming in. I'll select vertical speed -500, and VNAV is armed. And as usual, we don't have auto throttle, so let's keep an eye on the airspeed and reduce the torque a bit, especially when the VNAV kicks in. Okay, so we have the map, navigraphs up, and I'll pull up first the star. That goes to Cebix. Cebix to Elmem, and at Elmem, both of those we need to be above 130. That's checked. We continue on the RNP. That's Whiskey India 749 to, let's see, 749, 751, 52, 53, and 54. Down. Let's just check airspeed now. It's not started down. Good. End of approach. In case of missed, climb to 9005 via RNAV missed approach track to Rettenberg and hold. And that gives us Whiskey India 103, 102 Rettenberg, and join the hole. So that's just straight out of the valley. 3.6 degrees glide slope, a little bit steeper, but not a big issue for us. Decision is 2,900. So it's VNAV captured. MDA 2009. Quite a ways to scroll. And reducing power a bit. It's Cavoc at Innsbruck today. We have a look here at the weather. They are reporting 5 knots from 070, a little bit of variability, good visibility, and no clouds detected. 30 degrees, very hot. 1019er and no SIG. Excellent. Speed is stabilized. And very good. Let's just continue on down. So we're getting closer to starting down in the valley. Even with light winds, all these mountains might give a little bit of bumping. Shouldn't be any today, but let's get a cabin to prepare. We're less than 10 minutes from landing. 1,000 to go, and clear 5,000 feet. QNH 1019er. 5,000 feet set, altitude select. 1019er is set, passing 13.6. It's set and cross-checked. So approach checklist. Approach briefing complete. VREF 124 and altimeters 1019er. Checklist complete. Next we have lag invalid, okay. Watch the speed now. Approaching 10,000 with one light on. Let's say the cabin is clear. Second light goes on. All looks good. And let's not forget hydraulic pumps and tank aux pumps on as well. That's the landing flow complete. Very nice now, coming down through the mountain tops into the valley. Would be so cool to fly these Innsbruck approaches in real life. And as you can see now, we're about 8,000 feet. The red line comes down as a speed restriction due to the risk of bird strikes on the window. The aircraft itself can handle more. And we're on a steeper than normal glide path, so just be mindful of the speed. I'm at idle now, and it's just slowly creeping down. It's a hot day as well, already plus 18 degrees up here. So we might have more problems slowing down. In addition to this aircraft and sim feels a little bit more slippery than the real thing. If we need to, we can come in with condition levers and just go 900 or 1020 on the props. That should also help us slow down. So just around the corner we should see Innsbruck, so I'm just gonna let the speed decrease down to 200 so we can be ready for gear and flaps. And let's see, we have approach active. Altitude select goes off. And missed approach altitude was 9,005, so let's enter that. Seems like speed is actually a little bit high. So let's go props to max, see if that helps us. From 5.3. Yeah, from 5.3 it's all just 3.8 miles to the runway. So we should start getting configured here now. There's the airport. So as soon as this comes to 200.
2500.
That's radio height, 1019er 4004. 200 knots, flaps 5, gear down. Then bleeds to min. Cabin call, and let's say clear to land, so we're done with the roof. Speed is coming down, 180 for flaps 10. Flaps 10, and if you're wondering, the speeds are also listed here. So 181, 172 for flaps 15. 170, flaps 15, landing checklist. Gear down 3 green, flaps 15 set and checked, condition levels max, wings checked left and right, cabin clear received, checklist complete. And clear to land. Autopilot disengage. System standby. Watch the speed, let's establish approximately 140-ish. It's better to land with more than less speed in many cases with the Dash. As I said earlier, the props will reduce the lift drastically if you put them into to idle. But let's try not to get below on 4 reds. But we're visual, no big deal here today.
Terrain. 5.
And we have the terrain bug. Not been able to find a solution for that while searching, so if you have any, please leave a comment in the suggestion in the comment section. NavRAV is updated to the latest version, so...
Terrain. 100.
Start reducing.
50. 40. 30.
And add a little bit of power.
10.
And we're down. Go to ground range and just let the aircraft roll out in beta mode. And brake. So, here we are, Innsbruck. 60 knots, control locks on. Captain takes control on the ground and taxis in. First officer starts the cleanup, flaps 0. Bus tie comes on, ice protection goes off, lights can come off. Beacon goes to red. Spoilers off. Yaw damper off. Change the SSI in case captain's flying the next leg. Tank ox pumps comes off. Sys fuel sys. Weather radar off. And then we can focus on the taxi. Taxi light off. A little bit of brakes. Stop. Park brake on. And props go to start feather. 30 seconds. Cool down. External power button comes on, and we shut the bleeds, fasten seat belt, and emergency lights goes off. Hydraulics comes off, and if you have a company frequency you can change over, and transponder goes 2000 then off. Captain shuts off the nose wheel steering, and 30 seconds power comes off. As the props stops spinning, beacon comes off, and we double check external power is on. Very nice. And the automation is just waiting for the props to stop spinning, I guess. Yep. Here we are. Start unloading. Very nice. So, welcome to Innsbruck. The famous valley approaches. So the most famous, of course, is coming in to 26 from the other side, the Rattenberg, and then circling to 08. The circling would come over this hill, just on the other side of the airport, and you would use visual recognition marks like the church and stuff like that in the hills here, and do a tight right turn into 08. But I think it's very nice as well just to fly down the valley on the RNAV. Makes it very easy. The Dash 8 follows RNAV approaches very nicely. As you can see, there's no drama to it, and unlike flying ILSs, you don't have to arm the approach and change over nav sources and stuff like that. So it's just very hassle-free way of flying in a normal day-to-day operation. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this quick flight, and please subscribe to the channel if you like this content. Give me suggestions for routes or things you're wondering about in the comments, and I hope to see you next time. Have a nice evening.